guys, I'm Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I have so much leftover Halloween candy, and I've gotten some requests from some of you about dyeing yarn using Skittles and other fun types of candy, so I thought, let's give it a shot. So this will be a kind of goofy one, but today we're going to dye 100 grams of this sock yarn. This is the Stroll Fingering, one of my favorite yarns to use. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I get it from Knit Picks. And I've started with 8 cups of water in my pot. Hi! 8 cups of water, and I'm going to add, I think I'm going to start with approximately 4 tablespoons to 4 very generous tablespoons of white vinegar. We need the acid to help the food coloring from the candy bind the yarn. Now, while we're dyeing yarn with leftover Halloween candy, we're not using chocolate. This is going to probably be messy and require a lot of rinsing and washing, and it's just not worth trying to use M&Ms or something, because although they might have fun colors, the dealing with chocolate and yarn does not sound fun. All right, so I didn't pre-soak the yarn because I decided to just go for it. This, I just started the heat, and the water is a little warm, but not yet. I mean, I can still put my hands in it. So we're gonna submerge the yarn. And you'll notice, because there's over 8 cups of water in here, that this is not a low immersion experience. There's going to be plenty of space for the candy to dissolve and for colors to move around. But hopefully with 4 tablespoons of vinegar and the fact that this is a superwash yarn, we'll get some really cool colors. A lot of Halloween candy is instant death to your fillings, so it's good to find some other use. Yeah, I mean, I'm also planning to donate a lot of this candy, but I figure rather than me eating my share, I'll dye some yarn with my share and then donate the rest to one of my friends is collecting candy for the troops. So some things I know I want to use. I've got some Nerds. My sister-in-law lives in the UK, and she brought Nerds back for Halloween, and apparently the kids were very, very exciting. So I love sweet tarts. I've never tried these mini chewy things. They kind of frighten me, but they have bright colors, so they should be cool with the yarn. And then, of course, someone had requested Skittles at some point. All right, so we've got some Skittles. What does superwash mean? So superwash is a treatment of yarn that makes it harder to felt. I'm not exactly sure what the chemical process is, but it is, and I think it's done, okay. I don't know when in the process it's done, but untreated wool is just normal wool, and if you heat it a lot, it'll felt, but with superwash, it's machine washable. All right. And then I have confiscated these. So most of this is the Halloween candy I bought. I confiscated these Fun Dips from my kids because my kids are 1, but closer to 2 and 4. And I just don't want to deal with that. I wonder if these... Hey, these do have citric acid. Is it hard to wash out all the sugar? I've never done this before, so I'm less worried about washing out the sugar than I am worried about picking up candies that are stuck. Is there enough dye in those candies to color the yarn all the way through? I'm not sure. We will find out. We might end up with some small patches of color. All right, I've got a lollipop that I might wiggle around in there. I have no idea how much these will dissolve or what, but I just know that we are going to have some fun, and I'm going to start adding some candy. Let's start with some Skittles. So when I dyed yarn with, the Fun Dips might be like dyeing with Kool-Aid. So that should help give us some all over color. Ooh, already I see some green coming out of that first pack of Skittles. So when I dyed yarn with sprinkles, let me grab so these are the sprinkles that I used, and they ultimately either dissolved completely or will really easy to move from the yarn. What does the twist mean with sock yarn? I'm not, I guess I don't quite understand the question. Sock yarns are usually machine washable fingering weight yarns. And so I think that the sock just tends to refer to the fact that it is machine washable and usually has something else in it to help it keep, like nylon, to help strengthen the fibers so that way maybe they wear out less. But again, I'm not entirely sure. Whoa, that was fast. Look how white those have become. Maybe I should grab a bowl and remove. Wow, because look. Can you see the, apparently this is what's on the inside of a Skittle. So, oh gosh, that looks kind of sticky gross. This yarn is going to need a lot of washing. That's why I chose a superwash yarn. This is all, I'm going to reduce the heat a bit. This is all very experimental. We could, I don't know if all sock yarn has multiple plies. This is very experimental. I do not know exactly what we will end up with. Let's add some nerds. It's possible that this yarn will be semi-unusable. But I have gotten requests to do Halloween candy. And so I like to, I'm a little frightened by this. Oh, let's stick in the lollipop while we're at it. I'm not sure if, whoops, sorry guys, if single ply fingering weight yarns are called sock yarns sometimes, or if they're just referred to as fingering weight. Can you see? No, you can't see where I put the lollipop. Ah, but you see some blue coming off. All right, let's put the lollipop over here where you can see it. Let's see, what else can I add? The Skittles don't seem to have that much color on them. If you see anything, oh, I've got a Jolly Rancher. That should probably dissolve. This is probably gonna be a really, really sticky mess. But if I can open this, there is a chance that the candy, if the candy all dissolves completely, then it might actually result in some usable yarn that I just have to wash. I dyed yarn with Jell-O, and that video has not yet been published. It's on the schedule though. And I was very, very nervous about that one. And people kept asking me to do it. So I finally tried it and we actually got some pretty colors. All right. This is our long Jolly Rancher. That's already sticky. It smells good, at least. Okay, the pink nerds almost look like a pox. You'd probably stay away from Starburst. Yeah, I mean, some people did ask for gummies, and I don't know. It does look like the Skittles are dissolving, which is a good sign. I want a fork because the top of this yarn is getting all of the action. So maybe I can like insert some of these nerds into different places. Oh. Let's turn my house. Ooh, look at that blue, you guys. Oh, that lollipop. Do I have more lollipops? I don't think so. Yeah, so I figured if the Jell-O didn't result in a disaster, then this can't be that bad. Although we could end up with browns. I don't know. Gummies are basically Jell-O. Oh. Yeah, I mean, things are going to get gooey. And probably what I will do when it's closer to time to remove this from the pot is I will set up a rinse bath of warm water to transfer the yarn into. So I would let it cool in here a little bit and then transfer it. Because that's what I did when I was dyeing yarn with, these are more of those sweet tart things. When I was dyeing yarn with the Jell-O, I took the yarn out and put it directly in, I put it directly into some warm water. I'm going to come check out the comments in a second. But also, maybe we'll remove the yarn after a little bit and, aha! Huh, okay, the lollipop is now stuck to the side of the pot, but that is okay with me because I got the stick out. Oh gosh. And, alright, I'm not that impressed with these colors yet. But yeah, I've lost track of a lot of the Skittles, so I think they've actually dissolved. I'm going to hold off, I think, on the Fun Dips for a little bit. Because we know, I think that these will do some colors just like the Kool-Aid. So far, I think I've added 3 packets of Skittles, 2 packets of Nerds, 2 of these Sweet Tart mini chewy things, 1 lollipop, and 1 Jolly Rancher, like long Jolly Rancher thing. So the Nerds, we're getting some really cool specs from the Nerds, and I see some purple. Ooh, that's a bright purple. I mean, this really is going to look like it belongs with Candyland. Okay, I'm going to go check the comments and see if there's any questions. This is one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever done, I think. Yeah, we'll see, like, we'll let this, like, cook and dissolve a little bit, and then maybe I'll flip the yarn and add some more candy. My kids don't mind me using leftover Halloween for this. My kids are 21 months and 4. So the kids, yeah, they have no real concept of candy or quantities. But also, this is the candy that I purchased, and I will be donating most of the rest to the troops. So I'm basically using my own stash right now. I would be tempted to put candy in the pot and remove the dye before putting in the yarn. Yes, the thing with that is that you wouldn't get like a lot of space dyeing. If you did that, the colors would all mix together. So you could get a cool solid color, probably with a reddish hue. But yes, or maybe hand painting with the candy pieces. I thought about that too. The reason why I decided to go with a pot is because it'll give an easier chance for the candy to dissolve. And apparently it looks like Skittles do dissolve. So you could probably make a Skittle-themed beverage or something if you wanted. So I am just so curious. Yeah, it looks like these Sweet Tart candies are dissolving as well. The Nerds are really cool. And ooh, see this patch of purple? Okay, you guys are further away. I wonder if I can, I don't want to well, maybe I'll remove you guys from the, uh-oh. I hope that didn't do anything. I'm going to try to move you guys in closer to see. But it's on selfie mode, so. Okay, here's our pot. And so see, we've got some really, really cool specks and patches of color from the different candies. I don't know what's gonna go on over there because I dumped a bunch. But, and we've got this, the sucker is over there where we've got that blue. So, oh man. I'm not, okay. So let's see if, when we turn it, oh, here's some rogue nerds. The nerds, which are pretty yellow to begin with, are kind of leaving orange specks. Okay, so when we turn it, maybe we'll do, got Sour Patch Kids. There's not a lot of candies that have blues. We could toss some, maybe toss some Gummy Bears in. But yeah, if you're just joining in, all the chocolates are at the bottom of this. I am avoiding chocolate. Chocolate would be a mess. Let's just see what's in the ingredients of, does this even have? Of course not, because these are all the little packages. So most of them don't have any ingredients on them. This contains an egg ingredient? I never would have expected that. It doesn't say the rest of the ingredients. It just says it contains egg. Interesting. All right, and we also have the fun dips. Okay. It looks like, you guys, most of the stuff has dissolved so far. I mean, maybe not, the lollipop is still there. But this is really interesting. So maybe what I'll do is I'll remove this, add more water and vinegar, and I'll remove this, I'll dump out some of this water, and then replace the water, add more vinegar, and then add more candy to the yarn. I think that that's my plan. I need a bowl. You know, I think the first person who suggested that I use Skittles to see Twizzlers cut up into little pieces, I don't think I'm up for cutting up Twizzlers right now, but that is an interesting idea. Okay. I'm removing the yarn. This is yarn Mark 1. I guess I should turn off the stove if I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to quickly dump out this water, but you can see that there's not that much stuff left in it. That's hot. What was I expecting? I mean, I didn't really come into this with a lot of ideas and plans because I didn't really know what to expect. That smells pretty good. All right, here is another around 8 cups of water. You can see the sucker is still back there. I'm gonna start heating this up again, and I'll add some more vinegar. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And I think I want to add one of the fun dips, because I think that'll help give us an all-over color. And I don't know if this is going to be blue or if it's going to be green. What do you think? Raz apple. I don't know. I'm not going to... Maybe I'll do some speckling or something with the cherry, but let's see what color. I'm hoping, woohoo! It's blue. Oh, it's gonna be green when it hits the water? All right. In that case, how hot are you? Pretty hot. Let's add some candy to the bottom of the pot before I add the yarn to just help us get some more coverage of the candy. Yeah, we're already getting warm. Quickly, Rebecca. I wish that more candy had blue. I remember when blue M&Ms first came out, and that was such a big deal. All right. I don't know if you heard that, but there was definitely a bit of a thunk that stuck. Okay. I mean, this is actually kind of cool. Assuming I don't spill candy juice all over my house. And assuming that we actually get, I'm able to remove all the candy. But we added a lot of candy so far, and all of it seems to have dissolved. So maybe this actually worked. Ooh! Lifesavers, anyone? Oh, you dyed your first skein of yarn a couple days ago and you're disappointed. I haven't tried using acid dyes yet. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of advice that I can give on that. But I'm sorry you were disappointed. Okay, Gummy Bears. Kind of. I think that this might actually end up looking pretty cool. But, all right, so see these like really pale yellow Gummy Bears? Those ones didn't have enough color. I needed to to eat them for science, right? Okay. Sour Patch Kids. Which actually is a candy that I do like. Ooh, they have blue. And I wonder. Huh, they have citric acid in them. I mean, I did add vinegar to my dye bath. Is that a blue guy over there? Okay. And before I start sprinkling this with the Fun Dip, I want to make sure that we're at a good level of heat. But I'll add some more Skittles. I can't believe how easily the Skittles dissolved. I really thought that I was going to need to do a little extra work. So if you're just tuning in, we have put in a whole pile of candy so far. And this is the second water bath for this yarn because since I wanted to add some more candy and shift things around. So there's now some candy on the bottom of the pot and on the top. And I am about to add some of this Fun Dip. I wonder, trying to see if I can find where that blue sucker went. No, I've not added the Fun Dip yet. I'm about to start sprinkling it on. I'm curious. Okay, I see some bubbles starting to happen, so I'm going to reduce the heat. I was just waiting for it to get hot. So let's see. Hey, who said it turns green when it hits the water? That's interesting, because the powder is blue. But we can get some. We can get some specks, maybe. We'll see how quickly the color absorbs. Whoop! Okay, that was a lot right there. But I actually don't mind there being some green patches, so we can have some like areas where I speckled, and then let's add them. Let's get some more colors in here besides just red. Oh, it's kind of, I wish you guys could. I'll bring you back close in a second. I'm glad that this is green versus red. Okay, I'm gonna So since the camera is on selfie mode, when I bring you in close, I can't really see. Okay. So I cannot see any comments right now or much of anything, but adding more of the Fun Dip. And so you can see the, let's add some in there. Okay. That is all of the Fun Dip. Now, I haven't eaten a Fun Dip in years. What does the... Alright. I am not gonna bother with this Lick-a-Stick because it's white. That's not interesting. But if you missed the beginning, you see these white patches right there? Those are what Skittles look like when you start dissolving them. I think it's so cool. I thought early on that I was going to try to remove all the Skittles, but then I realized it's like, ooh, these are really melty and sticky. And then I looked closer and they had started to dissolve. So that is pretty cool. All right, I did not do the cherry one because there's a lot of red candies and a lot of red and orange. So I was hoping to add some other colors, which we did. Curious about these gummies. I don't know what those are gonna do. It might need to sit for a while. Yeah, I'm bad sometimes about checking the Ravelry group, so if you need to get my attention, you can always send me a PM. I get those into my email. But yeah, I sometimes share some of the dyeing stuff I've done in the Ravelry group, and I get some questions sometimes that I answer there. I don't have any Pop Rocks. That would be kind of fun. Oh, I don't know if the carbonation would do anything to the dye pattern. I mean, when I used the orange Fanta, that had carbonation, and that didn't really do too much. Pixie sticks would be really, really cool. Oh, funny. You guys, I was looking for my phone to take a quick picture of the pot, forgetting that my phone is what is giving you the live feed to the pot. So I guess I'm going to have to go old school and bring out my actual camera to take a quick picture. Oh, man. That is way underexposed. Okay. What? Oh. This is what happens when I'm not paying attention to my settings. There we go. I now have some pictures of this to share with the candy on top. Okay, I'll do one more. I wish that I want to get a new webcam so that way I can use something besides my cell phone and maybe something with a zoom. So that way I can easily show you guys things. But that Fun Dip was kind of cool. There are definitely some specks on here. I'm not sure if the gummies are doing much yet. But everything else seems to be dissolving. Just kind of poking them down. There aren't that many gummies. But ooh, there's some deep purples and... Okay, I guess some blue is coming out of some of those gummies. Okay, I guess you can't see me, but I'm just cracking up. I can't believe that I'm doing this, but look at all this candy we used. So I think that if you're gonna want to dye some yarn with candy, which is definitely working, like, this is gonna be usable. Things are dissolving. This is gonna be totally usable. I would recommend, if you wanted to do this, sticking with powders. Nerds and other small, brightly colored things would work great. And spoiler alert, the powdered sugars, or like the sugar sprinkles, which I'm not going to use today because they aren't Halloween candy, but sugar sprinkles like this do really cool stuff. And you've already seen my first video using these kinds of sprinkles. So it's because that first, I think it's Die Pot Weekly episode number 2 when I use these, because that worked so well and the sprinkles dissolved, that's what gave me the confidence to actually try this with candy. Because when I tried using rice soaked in food coloring, I had that because I was dyeing Easter eggs, and so I had that left over. And I tried dyeing yarn with it, and I couldn't get the rice off, and the yarn was really starchy. And so that was just kind of gross. But this is kind of cool. It might take the gum. I might have to okay, what am I doing? I didn't actually put my finger in the water. I just kind of tapped the gummy. It might take these gummies a while to dissolve, but the other thing that gave me confidence before trying this experiment was dyeing yarn with Jell-O, because I was terrified that I would end up with yarn encased in a Jell-O mold. But I used way more water than the Jell-O recipe required. And when this is done, I'm going to put this straight, I'm going to make a warm water bath. And so I'm going to put it straight into a warm bath to rinse. And we also changed out the water halfway through. This is making you hungry? Oh, it would be cool to do again as a cake and stick the candy in. That would be fun. The one caution that I would have with that is I would worry about whether the candy would get enough water to dissolve well. Man, I think this is probably one of my more experimental dyeing attempts. That green is cool. I'm curious. So you can see how murky the water is getting. Let me grab something to show it. And that's because, so see how cloudy the water is? That's because there's just a lot of stuff in here. We've got sugar, we've got, gelatin, and all kinds of wonderful things that we give to our children to eat on Halloween. Could you try using one of the lesser quality cranberry juices? That is an interesting idea. One of the ones that uses food coloring instead of cranberry to make the color. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, send me your weird things with food coloring, and I'm happy to give it a try. I know that right now we're just waiting for gummies to dissolve, and so that's not the most exciting TV, but ooh, we've got there's a purple, a burgundy. We're definitely getting some really, really cool color patches on here. And so, and I'm not going to be able to show you the whole washing of it because I'm going to need to let it cool, and that will take a long time. But I will, what I've been doing with all these live streams is once the yarn is dry, I've been doing a recap. So that way you can see what the yarn looks like in the end. And in this case, I can tell you, is it still icky sticky or is it fun? But we'll hang out a while longer as we wait to see if these gummies are gonna dissolve. Are they gonna, the shape has changed. Maybe that one just went down there. So the gummies I might have to peel off, but so I chose the superwash sock yarn for 2 reasons. One, we have been learning that superwash yarns absorb dye faster, so I knew that we would get some really cool patches and speckles from candy using a superwash yarn. The second reason is this might require a lot of washing, and in an upcoming Die Pot Weekly episode, I, for the first time, have slightly felted one of my wool yarns. Now it's still going to be knittable. I'm just going to need to reskein it. So it's intact, but it's the closest I've gotten to a felted mess. But it's a 100% wool yarn, and not one that, this was not one of the sponsored videos, but it's 100% wool yarn, and I think I had to wash it, maybe go through 30 different rinses to wash out all the excess dye. So yeah, that was a bit ridiculous. But I guess as a spoiler, I was using a dye that was not intended for wool. So I was testing it. So you dyed some yarn with Wilton's Black and it broke. Is there any way to not have it break? There are ways to, if you're dyeing with a color like black or violet and you don't want the color to break, what you should do is you should use a really big pot with a lot of water. Add the dye to the pot with low levels of vinegar and mix it up. Add the yarn while it's still cool, and then slowly heat it up. And so if the yarn is in there with a ton of excess water to move around, you can get a more solid color. I am not doing Kraft mac and cheese. There are limits, and I do not want to deal with cheesy dairy yarn. Sorry, I think that's my line with food. At least these are like things that won't spoil. Yogurt yarn? No dairy. No dairy. I know that those Starburst things said that they have some egg, but whew. Frozen raspberries. So reds and purples are really hard to get from nature. And I think that what tends to happen when you use a lot of different berries and whatnot is that you end up with something that might look red at the beginning and then it'll eventually turn brown. I have not tried purple cabbage yet. That's on the list. And same with avocado skins. And I'm happy to try some different berries at some point. I did order through the big Knit Pick sale. I ordered an Earth Hues natural dye kit that has, I forget what it has, but it has logwood and some other plant, and I'm not sure if there's any insects, but other natural dyes that have been historically used to achieve a lot of different colors. I also have an indigo dyeing kit, which I plan to use soon, I hope. Red wine. There is a video on the channel of me dyeing yarn with red wine. I think I used Merlot. And the yarn, it's a really pretty brown, but I kept waiting for it to like soak in the red, but you kind of got a, yeah, it ended up being a nice brown. Let's see, there's questions. Beets. Yeah, no, I will. So I figured out last time I can copy and paste the comments into a Google Doc and make a PDF so I can save the comments after to look through some of these ideas. But I am hesitant to do a lot with natural food items because I know that it can be really difficult to actually preserve the color. So like if you think about, I think an easy way to think about it is think about historical films and the colors that you frequently see the characters wear. Especially characters that represent like elite classes of people, that you see a lot of browns and yellows in the clothing. That's because when you're dyeing with natural ingredients, those are the easiest colors to get. A bright red, bright blues and greens and purples are a lot harder to get. So let's see. The phones don't stay on the phone long enough. What about Gatorade or Powerade? So I haven't used the Gatorade powder. There's a video on the channel where I dyed yarn into 2 different flavors of Gatorade and the colors were gorgeous. You could probably get pastels, but you also, like, the colors can be really, really vibrant. I've done a bunch of different different beverage brands. I do a lot of Kool-Aid, and the reason why I like powdered drinks is because you can really use a lot of them together and get a really, really concentrated color. In the last episode of Dye Pot Weekly, I used, how many? At least 10 packets of Kool-Aid maybe on one skein yarn. Excuse me. Yeah, so I've heard cabbage juice is pH reactive, but I still haven't looked into using it to dye fiber. So I am excited to look at that. So yeah, people are saying that the color comes out. Oh, so someone tried purple cabbage and washed, almost all the color came out, and there was a tiny bit of gray. So when you're so the proper way to dye, I did a natural dyeing class where we dyed these silk scarves. There is, I think that there's a recap of it on my blog. And you need some kind of mordant, which is usually some kind of metal salt to help the color bind to the yarn. And, ooh, are we dissolving, gummies? A bit, slowly. We are getting some color from these gummies. Yeah, so the natural dyeing requires a mordant, some mordants, and I know that the kit that I bought comes with, I believe, a protein-based mordant. So I don't have the kit yet, so I haven't read a ton about it, but I do want to read more about natural dyeing. One of my dreams is to create a dyer's garden someday. So that way I can maybe grow some of the plants and then like go and harvest them and use them to dye yarn. Apparently rhubarb leaves can do cool things, but I didn't save any for my garden this year. But of course there are limits to what plants. Some plants are invasive in different regions, so you don't want to introduce something bad. Use pickling alum as a mordant. Huh, but that didn't work. Yeah, so I don't know a lot about different mordants, and this is one of the reasons why I am branching out and trying different types of dyes besides just food coloring. I mean, silly experiments aside, I'm branching out to do these experiments so that way I can answer more questions. And yeah, when you see me try something for the first time and see like either how easy or how much of a pain it is with 40 some washes. Yeah, that can be really cool. Let me show you guys this yarn. So there's spoiler alerts coming up. I don't remember when this episode is going to come out, but check out this purple. This is the yarn that I had to wash like 40 times to get all the dye out. And I haven't reskeined it yet. But I just want to show you guys. You can see that like the fibers are kind of stuck. So I know I'll be able to reskein it. And that it's like, I think this is my favorite color on the planet. This shade of purple. But I dyed it, this is 100% wool, and I dyed it with this. So I used the RIT Dye More synthetic dye. So I was using a dye that's not intended for natural colors, natural fibers, and I got a super, super intense, beautiful result. But I had to wash it a gazillion times. And so that's why the yarn wasn't so happy. And when I say that I did like 40 rinses, I'm not exaggerating. It might have been more. It just took a really long time. I think that the video with that one, I think I dyed 3 different fiber types. And the video, I swear, is half washing. I don't show all 40 washes. But I was like, man, this is going to be a short video. And then, nope. Yeah. I have another video that coming out that is also really long, but again, I dye 4 different skeins of yarn of different fiber types. So there's a lot of content to talk about. Our gummies are dissolving. See, that's getting smaller. At some point I might just call it, but well, I am very excited by this. I'm checking the comments. Did you say that felted yarn? Yes, the felted yarn was wool of the Andes. But again, like, and when I say felted, I mean it's at the starting stages of being felted. I can separate the fibers, so it's very lightly felted. And I'm planning to reskein it. And so then it's going to be really, really, really knittable. And once it's reskeined, I don't think you'll even be able to tell that it was, except for the fact that I've told you. So if I thought that it was not knittable, crochetable, usable in any way, then there's no way I would send it to someone. So that is my promise to all the Kickstarter backers. I'm only going to send out yarns that I am confident in. Oh, this smells really good. Ooh. So there might be, oh, we're by the tie right there. Just inspecting. Because it's like, ooh, there's a big white patch on the inside, but I think that stuff is spread out enough that we got a lot of color. All right. I think I might start. All right, well, what do you guys think? Should I remove the gummies and then pull the yarn out so we can see what it looks like? Or should I let it keep going for a little while longer? I can't believe we're getting this. I think this yarn is going to be super, super fun. There might be some I didn't add any gummies to the bottom. I mean, certainly some can kind of stick around, and I'm going to make some warm water right now to add this to when I remove it. Actually, maybe I'll microwave this a little bit. I don't want to shock the yarn. But I'll start heating that up. Pull it out. Okay. I'm gonna heat up some water and then pull it out. So that way I don't want to put it straight into cold water. It's cold today. My car was covered in like frost. It has definitely been more than 10 minutes. I've just turned off the heat. This yarn has been in here almost this whole time now. All right, I'm gonna pull off these gummies that I can find. But the fact that there could still be some gummies and candy in here is the main reason why I don't want to let this cool off just in the air. I want to let it cool off in solution. And I could let it cool off in this pot, but as you know, because we added so much candy, there's just a lot of stuff. So yeah, this little gummy, I think I lost a piece. All right, where am I? I need some smaller tongs, you guys. Aha! I think there's one. Okay, that's kind of in pieces. I'm not going to worry about getting everything clearly as I'm dropping them, but they're definitely dissolving. So that is good news. Let me check the oh my gosh, so much candy. I'm going to be glad to donate this. Okay. So this water is not hot by any stretch. This is not hot water, but it is comfortably warm. Check it out. Let me get a good grip on the middle. Look at all those colors. So we've got a lot of speckling. I'm impressed we got as many blues and greens as we did. There's a little bit of brown, but yeah, so normally with yarn that I dyed, I would have taken this straight onto a plate and let it cool before washing. But as cloudy as, oh my gosh. This water is sticky. I mean, it's not sticky yet, but feeling it, I was like, whoa. I mean, look at the color of the dye bath. And you can even see that this water right here is pretty cloudy. And I mean, just touching it, you can feel that, ooh, that's still hot. Yeah, but look at those bright blues. We got a lot of yellows and a few purples and pinks. Oh, let me bring this up to you. Oh, the water feels, the yarn so far feels fine. The water feels, I don't know. I guess maybe this would be like, I guess people make punch from candy sometimes. Ooh, there's like a micro green spot on there. So this is going to be really cool. And I'm confident that these colors are going to stay because we've done so many experiments with food coloring that I know that they've been heated long enough. There's been enough acid. And so we're going to, excuse me, have a really, really cool, pretty yarn, which I think I'm going to name this one Candyland. I think that that's appropriate. We used a lot of candy, as is evident by, what's down there? Some rogue candy, some gummies. Yeah, so some of the gummies actually fell off just into the pot. So I think I was about 50-50 whether or not we'd have an icky, sticky, candy-covered mess or if we'd get something that looked pretty cool. Now, you could plan this out better. I used just open and blind threw in packs. I mean, I was really going for a leftover candy Willy Wonka vibe here. But you could go through and pick out just the reds and pinks and do something kind of cool. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to the store and buying candy to do this. Unless, you know, I think some of the powdered candies would be really cool because let's see if I can bring it closer. So at that bottom edge, there's some specks. And so we got those specks from the Fun Dip candy by just sprinkling in it was more granular than powdery. So that was cool. And it just, since this is a superwash and nylon blend, it just struck really, really fast. Some other kind of cool things you could do is you could first dye an all over color, maybe a pink or blue, and then add the candy. So then you would have a base color before adding all these patches of color. But I was curious to see if there's going to be an overall color to the base. Yeah, it should be dry. What's today? Wednesday? Maybe on Friday. Certainly by Saturday I'll be able to show the dry yarn. So when you dye with Wilton's and the water is clear at the end of the process, can you rinse it with clear water? So I don't think the soap is absolutely necessary. The reason why I wash with soap is because a lot of times if you're going to hand wash a garment, you use some kind of dish soap or laundry soap or something to clean it. And so I do it because sometimes some more color comes out when the soap is added. However, you certainly can skip it. And some of the yarns, you know, I'll wash and the water will run clear, but then maybe sometimes there'll be some color that comes out if it's dripping on the dry rack, which feels frustrating, but it's something that happens. And even with commercial yarns and yarns with other indie dyers, the first few times you wash something, wash it on its own. You could get some bleeding, can still happen, especially with acid dyes. any acid dye, food coloring or commercial acid dye, if you're washing it on hot, you can get some bleeding. Good morning. Yeah, the gummies might have taken a pretty long time. Do veggie chips have food coloring in them? Huh. You have some really interesting ideas. Veggie chips would not be on my no list, but I'd worry about... I'd worry a little bit about them sticking like the rice. The rice... So rice absorbed food coloring so well, and the yarn that I got, the videos on the channel, the yarn that I got is so cool. It's almost not so much speckled, but almost it feels marbleized. Like the colors are just really, really pretty. But the yarn is so starchy, and it was such a pain on just a mini skein to remove all the extra grains of rice. So that is, you know, one of the hesitations that I have. And with today, I was willing, you know, if we got a horrible, icky, sticky mess, I was willing to just toss the yarn. Oh, so I was answering a question about soap before. This yarn, 100% I'm going to use soap. There's a lot of stuff in there. And like, you know, my hands feel almost slimy removed from the water just because of probably all the sugar and other gunk that was in the candy. Food coloring is probably a pretty minor ingredient compared to the other stuff. So I will definitely wash this one with soap, but I don't think it's always necessary. I think I just do just for consistency. But with the veggie chips, I think it depends. A lot of the veggie chips and stuff that I know use natural colors to dye their the chips. So I don't know. I do want to buy, and I'm not expecting this to work, but depending on the mordants that I get from the Earth Hues kit, you can buy natural food colorings that are based on beets and other, you know, maybe other spices that aren't supposed to affect flavor a lot, but can help you change the color without having to use the artificial food coloring molecules. Now, there's no reason to expect that those would necessarily dye yarn very well, but, you know, it could be fun to try. Maybe lentils. I mean, salt crystals and stuff would be cool. I'm not sure how you make, if you were to make salt water and add food coloring or something and then break it up, if that would give you salt crystals. Yeah, I mean, well, saffron's expensive, but I think that some other, I'm looking in my spice drawer right now. Yeah, there's definitely some of those yellow spices might dye yarn pretty well. Think about anything that stains your clothes really, really well, and it might be a good candidate. Yeah, pour over cultures. Turmeric, yeah. So someone just said salt will change the pH. Salt. So normal table salt is sodium chloride, and that will not change the pH. It can. Now, I don't know the whole chemistry behind how the acid dyes and food coloring bind to yarn, but it is related to, there's ionic, some electrostatic interactions, some hydrogen bonding probably, and maybe some van der Waals forces that are involved. And so these are bonds that are more easily disrupted than, say, a covalent bond, which is what happens with fiber reactive dyes that really dye a lot of different things. So salt can affect the absorption, but not because, and I'm not sure of the reasons why, but it's not going to alter the pH. Yeah. I still want to do this. I want to look more closely at the pH and vary the pH and look at the absorption of different dyes just to give some better recommendations. But ultimately, you know, I do see some differences with dip dyeing and color breaking between even like 2 and 3 tablespoons of vinegar a bit, but ultimately it's just the dyeing in your kitchen and dyeing with food coloring is something that is fun, and you know, you can really just experiment and get, you know, some really you can do something that feels crazy and get something really, really pretty. Yeah, I think the lollipops were also actually really a winner. Nerds of the world unite. Yeah, acid-base chemistry was never my strongest, but I've made so many buffers and I've used a lot of different acids and bases to do a lot of things. My thesis, my dissertation is on some, I guess the category would be mechanistic enzymology, if you guys are curious. So I'm happy to talk antibiotics and natural products sometime. No, I probably won't do that on here. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this goofy day after Halloween dyeing experiment where we dyed 100 grams of yarn with a lot of different candies. So now I'm going to let this cool completely in its rinse, and it's still nice and warm. And then once it's cool, I am going to rinse it with a lot of cool water and use some soap to just wash out all of the other things that are in here. And then I think I missed something. What about the colored chocolate? No chocolate. No chocolate. I did buy, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to taste those to make sure that those aren't chocolate. I got some bigger sprinkles and sprinkle candy things from the craft store. And so those I'm gonna play with at a later date. And I got a lot of different like solid color mixtures. Fruit Tootsie Rolls would be cool. I didn't have any of those. Aww. I'm glad to bring a little bit of whimsy and fun with this dyeing experiment. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I have another episode of Dye Pot Weekly will come out on Friday morning. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to what we do in the next live dyeing. You guys are always so much fun and give me such good ideas. Have a great day, guys.